What year were you born?
I was born in 2003, June 30th.
Oh, cool. Were you born in Taiwan?
Yes, I was born in Taipei City.
Where were you born?
Taipei City, the capital.
Oh, you're born in the capital? That's really cool.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in that area?
It, well, it was pretty, as a child, like, it was pretty relaxing for the most part. Like, it's a metropolis, so, like, it's a bustling city, unlike most suburbs here in the United States. So, like, I enjoyed living in a high-rise apartment. It was really relaxing. Sometimes I find peace with the traffic downstairs. And yeah, everything was really good except for school. Not gonna get into that right now, but yeah, it has that bustling city that never sleeps vibe to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you move around a lot, or did you usually were you just growing up in the capital while you were there?
Yeah, the capital's a relatively small city, but yeah, I stayed mostly in the capital. Like, Taiwan is already a small country, so like there's not many places to go. Well, there are a lot of places to go, and I highly suggest anyone visit it if you have the time. But it's a beautiful country. The capital, Taipei City, is definitely it's easy to get around as well. There's really good public transportation there, and that's usually how I get around places. Either because like there is like 3 subway stations within like walking distance from our house, and like it's really convenient. And anywhere you can't get to by the subway, you can always ride the bus, which gets you pretty much anywhere in the city.
Yeah. But you said it's a relatively small city?
Yeah. Well, compared to most American cities, yeah, it is pretty small. It's surrounded by rivers and the mountains. Well, the actual municipal district is small by land area, but like it is very populated. And Taipei City is actually an enclave of the newly administered New Taipei City, which is just the surrounding area. It's kind of like...
Yeah. That sounds really cool,
the greater city.
Definitely a nice place to visit. I can picture.
Yeah.
You said you take the subway a lot. Would you take the bus too often, or was that like your main?
Yeah. Well, my school is actually walking distance, so I don't actually take transportation to get to school, but some places, like when I go to my friend's house, like they live on the opposite side of the city as me, so that is very conveniently, only one bus ride, no transfers, just from here to there straight.
Yeah, that's really cool.
If none of that works out, I could just call a taxi, which I mean, it is more expensive than public transportation, but it gets you where it needs to be. Yeah.
Oh, so you said you walk to school usually?
Yes. It's a 10-minute walk. It's just just around the corner from my house.
Oh, wow. Would you walk by yourself or with, like, your parents?
Well, I was in elementary school, so usually my parents walk with me, but most kids my age walk by themselves because it's a really safe area. Like, Taiwan has, like, one of the lowest crime rates in the world.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
That's cool. Do you remember, like, your earliest memory from your childhood? Like, what was it?
Yeah, I don't really know, like, what was going on, but, like, my earliest memory that I could recall ever in my existence is, we moved 3 houses in Taiwan, in Taipei City. But, like, they were all, like, within, like, the same district, so, like, it wasn't far, but it was my first house, and, I don't know what was going on, but one night there was just a bunch of fire trucks lined up like around the whole neighborhood for some reason or another. It was 2000. It was 2003 or 4. So I literally do not know what was going on. I just remember there being fire trucks outside the door, and that's about it.
That's pretty early, right around the time.
Yeah.
1 or 2. Wow.
I think.
Yeah. So you moved around a lot, you said? Was it, like, hard moving around to those 3
it was
houses?
not hard, because, once again, it was only, each house was within walking distance from each other. Like, even when I moved, like, my mom would still take me back to the old neighborhood, because it was only like a 20-minute walk, and you can imagine how much faster by public transportation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is very easy to get around. I had no difficulty moving at all.
That's really good.
Very navigable city.
Yeah. What was your favorite memory growing up?
There's a lot of things that I liked. That I like. I can't really pick a favorite memory, because there's a lot of things that made me nostalgic about that place. Because if you ask any Taiwanese person, they'll tell you they'll tell you about the garbage trucks. The garbage trucks. Yeah, it plays music. It plays one of 2 tunes. It plays For Elise by Beethoven. I'm sure you know what that is. And it also plays The Maiden's Prayer by some other obscure musician that I actually forgot the name of. But it's a really good system they have, which is basically, though, whenever you hear this music, it's basically like your key to like get the trash out and like pick up the trash. And that's actually one of the reasons why Taiwan is also one of the cleanest countries, because everyone does their trash to the tune of music. And that I would say that is one of my better memories of Taiwan. It's just being in my apartment, and then you can hear from the distance like the garbage truck just whistling. Like, you can search up videos of this online if you want to, but it is like, every time I hear these 2 songs, like, it just reminds me of the garbage truck, you know? Yeah.
That's really cool.
But, yeah. And just, I don't know. I associate it with a lot of sounds. Like, because there's just so many distinctive sounds in the city that you just can't get. Like, the street vendors. Like, they'll be selling, I think, screen doors and, like, tinted glass. Because they will like just like shout that they're selling these stuff like in traditional Taiwanese Hokkien, which I can't understand a bit, but I don't really speak it. And the subways too, because like whenever the platform, like, it makes specific sounds for when the train is approaching and leaving, and yeah, it's just a lot of sounds just invoke me about Taiwan. It's very nostalgic.
So it brings you like a happy place, like when you think of the sounds back home, or like where you're from. That's really nice. Can you describe any specific challenging experience you had from your childhood, or like an unhappy memory?
Well, remember when I said that I was looking into elementary school earlier? Yeah. So I had a learning disability growing up, and in most East Asian countries, or actually in most non-Western countries, the attitude towards education is like very hardline, very strict. There's really little leeway. You either do it or you don't, and they leave no space to accommodate anyone with special needs. So like that is one of like the hardest challenges growing up, because your school, whenever like you're struggling, they just assume that you're struggling and you need, and or like you're goofing up, you're lacking, you're not trying hard enough. They don't care about if you have like any disabilities or anything that might impede your learning. They just punish you in some cases. And you're like, you didn't do good on this test, well, too bad, write a whole essay on why you did bad. And it was definitely hard. I definitely struggled with school. Like I was one of like I think I was one of the worst achieving students in class. And my mom, like, she really struggled with helping me finding either a good mentor or something like that. Because there basically weren't any. they were all raised the same way, and if you can't adapt to it, you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, that sounds very unfortunate. I'm sorry you went through that.
It's fine. That's one of the reasons I moved here.
Oh, really? You came here for better education?
Well, yeah, and a plethora of other reasons, but that is one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so sorry. It had to have been hard growing up and brought into that sort of way of teaching. Like you said, there's like you had no help outside of school from that. Like, were your parents helpful? Or
well, yeah, my mom, of course, she helped me whenever I can, and she had a whole bunch of books. She bought a whole bunch of books about these type of disabilities to help like teach me by her own accord. But like, since my mom can't go to school with me, I received almost nothing at school.
Yeah. Would you talk to the teachers, or were your friends helpful during school? Or was it more so?
Well, I was always quite shy, and about the teachers, I was actually quite scared of my teachers a lot because once again, I've always been one of the poorly performed students. So like my teachers actually never had a high opinion of me because of how much I don't pay attention in class or how much I fail stuff as a result. Because once again, I couldn't pay attention for the life of me because of my disability. I always wondered something else. So like. Yeah, my teachers, they constantly scared me. So yeah, they were absolutely zero help, and because of that, the students is like a weird thing because some of them liked me a lot because they thought I was quirky, they thought I was funny, but others like they notice like my differences in performance, and like they bully me for it. And it's weird. It really depends on what type of student you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yes, my friends generally did support me. But
good to hear.
On the contrary, there are also people that are going against you at the same time because elementary schoolers can be brutal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that. Yeah.
Would you seek help for like when you were bullied from students, or were your friends just helpful too?
Oh yeah, my friends were really, really helpful because they taken a notice everything that's happened, and even when I'm too scared to speak with my teacher, they will do it for me, and that's been really nice of them.
That's good. Do you still keep in touch with them today?
Unfortunately, no, because we were just kids. We were just elementary schoolers. No one had any electronics, so like. I know they probably do now, but like I moved away too early for that to have an effect. So I don't talk to any of them, save for a few family friends that didn't go to my school, or like my mom is still in contact with their parents, like on Facebook or something.
Would you hang out with these friends outside of school too? Like
well, the family friends, yes, but my school friends specifically, not really. Like, we always stay after school because even though school ends like pretty early sometimes, like as early as 12 at noon, they put a heavy emphasis on after school clubs that basically you don't have to do it, but like it's basically like who are you if you don't attend them, right? So yeah, I do hang out with a bunch of friends after school at clubs. Like I was in the school junior robotics club. My mom had me try it out for the soccer team. So like, yeah, I definitely did talk to a lot of people there, and yeah, it was. I actually don't remember quite as much about it, but it was overall somewhat positive.
Yeah, that sounds fun. You had those opportunities outside of school too to hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
So what was a normal day like during the week, like a weekday?
During the weekday, well, school starts at 7:50 in the morning, so I get up like around 7:30, My mom had already made breakfast for me before I even woke up. So I eat a quick meal. I get dressed. We had to put on uniforms. I absolutely despise their school uniforms. They are so uncomfortable, but you have to wear them. It's dress code, and it was enforced. It was actually enforced by students. Like we had proctors from the upperclassmen. They enforced the lowerclassmen. It's
wow.
Yeah, but I walked to school. I don't exactly remember my school schedule, but it was morning classes, and then in most Asian schools, we don't actually have a cafeteria. What they do is the lunch lady, they roll like a cart into like individual classrooms, and you eat in class.
Oh.
And after you have lunch, Taiwan has a mandatory nap time for all schools. So you take a nap in the early afternoon for an hour, I think.
Was it only elementary school, or like all schools?
I think it's enforced in all schools going up, but I'm not sure because I was only there until 4th grade. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you usually just in school, and then
and then take a nap, wake up, more classes, and then once again, school. Depending on the day, it ends at sometimes we don't even have naps because the school day ends at 12 at noon. Mm-hmm. But most days it ends at 4 p.m. And then of course I'll attend my after school clubs, depending on what they are, and then my mom will come pick me up, often after the evening, like around 5 or 6, and then go home, eat dinner. My mom didn't let anyone in the family have electronics because she thinks we were too young. So I mostly spend my time watching TV, and whenever I don't watch TV, I am usually drowning in homework because Christ, they give a lot of homework even for elementary school. Like sometimes I stay up past 11, which is late for someone that goes to elementary school to do homework.
That sounds very intense.
Yeah. And that's pretty much my day. Kind of barely any leeway for leisure, but it is what it is.
What was your mother and father like growing up?
Well, my mom had actually been. My mom actually she left Taiwan for the States at a very young age too. So she spent most of her teenage and early adult years in America. She went to University of Texas at Austin, which is actually how I got my name. She named me after the city she went to college in. So,
cool.
But she moved back to Taiwan to like find a job, and like also because health benefits. You should. It's pretty known that America does not really have a good health system. In Taiwan, it's paid for if you're a citizen automatically, so you get all that for free. Most countries do. Anyways, but she's not like your stereotypical Asian tiger mom. She is pretty liberal in terms of raising me. So I like her for that. And my father always had to work. Like he was, traditional family structures. The husband goes to work, makes, and the mother provides for the family, like that kind of stuff. But my dad, he's usually at work. I only get to see him after I get back from school, and by the end of my time in Taiwan, I barely saw him at all because my mom and my dad are going through a divorce, and he no longer lived with us. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know where he is now, but but like it's the fact that I don't get to see my dad often back in Taiwan that made me like him. Like that's a bit like he's my dad. and like every time I see him, it is fun. Even though my grandparents, they did make him like they did sort of villainize him to me, because it is extremely frowned upon in Asian society to go through a divorce for any reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's complicated. I still don't know like what the full reason for the divorce is. So, but I can tell that it's something big, and I never bothered asking because.
Yeah, that's understandable. So your grandparents they were really frowned upon your father and mother's decision?
Mostly my father's, because once again, they are my grandparents. They're on my mom's side.
Mm-hmm.
They actually moved to the States with us.
Oh, wow.
Shortly after we moved here, but they're currently in Taiwan visiting friends.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, they raised me just as much as my mother. I love them a lot. And yeah, my grandpa for most of my life was the only male member that raised me.
Oh, wow.
So that's
nice.
And yeah, my grandma was one of the best cooks I've ever known. She used to make the best chicken noodle soup. Because the food in Taiwan is amazing. I forgot to mention this, but the food, they have better quality food than here in the States, because everything is more natural and clean. So like, yeah, she made the best noodles. I love them. Couldn't get them anywhere else except my grandma's kitchen.
Would you say that was
in
your
Taiwan.
Favorite food?
Sorry?
Would you say that was like your favorite food there growing up?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of things, because Taiwan, they also had this fast food chain called Moss Burger. It's a Japanese kind of like McDonald's, and they had some of the best chicken nuggets I had in my life. And they also had this special jelly juice kind of thing. It's kind of like Jello, but less condensed, and like they're really good. Like, I love that restaurant. It's a shame they don't have any in the States. But there's a lot of good foods in Taiwan, because like Taipei is known for its night markets where you could just get food from like the stands, and it's stinky tofu. I had never tried it because it just never sounds so appetizing when you put stinky in front of the name. And yeah, the night markets, they also have really good beef noodle soup as well. I tried a few. Some of them are good, others were not. And really great food. Totally suggested if you're visiting.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like, actually, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What about your favorite dessert?
Dessert. Well, once again, Japanese chain. There's a chain called Mr. Donuts, and they have some of the best donuts that I've had, and that's probably like one of my favorite things to eat for dessert. And once again, it's a shame that they don't have any in the States, but definitely try it out if you're visiting.
Yeah. What would you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Well, for breakfast, my mom usually prepares for me like a cereal or like eggs. It usually isn't anything big, because I have to get ready pretty quickly for school. And our school lunch, it really depends. It's usually a main course of rice, of course, and some type of stir-fried vegetables or meat. Like, includes fish, beef. I never actually like them because it's school lunch, so like it's not good quality food. So I usually avoid eating as much as I can, but unfortunately, to discourage wastefulness, you're actually required to finish all the food you get from the lunch cart.
Oh, really?
And you will actually get punished if you don't finish everything on your plate. Wow. So that's something I kind of struggle with, since I didn't like the food.
You couldn't not eat.
Kind of had to suck. Yeah, basically, which it's a pretty good system because as a result, Taiwan also does not waste food like almost at all as compared to America, which so much food gets wasted every day because people just like, oh, I don't want to eat this anymore and just throw it out. Yeah, because in Taiwan, you're taught to not do that from a young age. And of course, for dinner, my grandma cooks for me. Once again, noodles, rice, drumsticks, all sorts of good stuff. On good days, we eat out at a restaurant. Because do you know the store Ding Tai Fung?
Ding Tai Fung.
The restaurant chain.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
It's a pretty good dumpling place.
Dumplings are really good.
It's a famous chain worldwide, and it originated in Taiwan. And there's a few around the LA area. I don't know if there's any up there near Santa Barbara, but definitely check it out. The menu is way nicer in Taiwan than in America. Disclaimer. So sometimes you go eat there. Usually there's a long line, and most of the times we eat at home because it's cheaper.
Would your grandma usually prepare your meals during the week too? Or was it your mom? Like who usually?
Well, my mom not cooks. My mom prepares my breakfast, but it's usually my grandma who makes the dinner. Yeah.
What kind of conversations would you have at the dinner table?
Usually it's I'm gonna think about this because I haven't really paid attention to that. Because usually when we're eating dinner, like we have the TV on, like in the next room, so like they'll be watching the news while eating dinner. Sometimes they'll ask me, "Oh, what I do in school?" All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll show them like my little interesting projects I made for like art class or something. They'll be like, "Wow, nice." And but yeah, I don't actually think we have any specific conversations about anything besides school because they're occupied on the TV and with eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't really speak when you're eating.
Yeah. You said before that you'd usually watch TV on your free time if it wasn't homework. What was your favorite TV show?
Well, for a TV show, I actually had a weird obsession with the Discovery Channel in Taiwan. Yes, they had a Discovery Channel, and they had a bunch of programs on there that I always like to watch. And there was this specific show that dealt with two guys selling things in a garage sale or something, and like I was really into that for some reason. And of course, I also watched cartoons. They had a bunch of state-run channels, but they also have a Taiwanese version of Disney Channel and Cartoon Network as well.
Oh, wow.
And they don't just play the respective shows actually, because they actually incorporate other media from like Japan, because like you would find a lot of anime on Disney Channel, which is kind of surprising, and Cartoon Network too. So like it's not officially them, but like it's their brand, I guess, and they take it and utilize whatever shows that are popular at the time, and they just play it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, can you imagine that, watching anime on Disney Channel?
Yeah. I think they have a few, like, on the American Disney Channel.
Well, I haven't had cable for a while, so I wouldn't know.
What language did you usually speak at home?
Mandarin.
Mandarin?
Yeah. My family, they were called Waishengren, which means mainlanders, because they were not natively from the island. They fled the communists during the Civil War. So my grandma is from Beijing, and my grandpa is from Nanjing or Nanking. And I don't really know much about my dad's side because obviously. So yeah, they moved here. So we mostly spoke Mandarin in the house. You are required to be taught Hokkien, or Taiwanese Hokkien to be more specific, in class. I never picked it up on it because it's complicated. It's like trying to learn a Native American dialect when you only know English. So
yeah.
And you're required to learn English too. And I was much better at English. English was actually my best subject in school because my mom would also, because since my mom was raised in the States, she will also regularly talk to me in English because it's just a very nice skill to have. And it ended up paid off because we ended up moving to a country where almost nobody speaks Mandarin and everybody speaks English. So, yeah.
So you were taught those two in school? Those two languages? Any other languages?
So it's 3 languages. Yeah, Mandarin, Hokkien, and English.
Wow, that's a lot too.
And there were also a bunch of electives where you can learn native dialects from like the many Aboriginal tribes that live in Taiwan, which there are a lot. I never really learned about them, even though I should. But like, there are many tribes that. Yeah, the islands was flourishing culture, mainly Pacific Island culture. So that's interesting.
Did they offer any European languages at your school?
Not that I know of, but I'm sure there were clubs where you could learn Spanish because they had Dora on TV, but instead of learning Spanish, you learn English. Like they turned Dora into like a Chinese character, and she'll say phrases in English, and you have to repeat after her. Yeah, it's really trippy.
Yeah.
Like I did not know that Dora was supposed to be Hispanic until I moved here, and she actually spoke Spanish. I was like, whoa.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's definitely a game changer.
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of values did your mom instill in you growing up?
And once again, she was a really liberal parent growing up, so she didn't really instill in me much of the more traditional values. Like, you have to be good at basically everything. Like, she was a bit more relaxed. She was one of her core values is do whatever you like, do whatever you want, as long as it's not too extreme. And like, she never put any pressure on me to like become like something that she deems ideal. But like once again, she was still born and she grew up in Taiwan. So like there are still like a good mix of traditional values, like being a family man and supporting the family whenever you can, and things like that.
Would your dad say anything to you too, or was he usually too busy?
Well, he's usually on the couch watching TV. So I don't remember anything. I don't remember speaking to him that much, except I don't know. We used to play board games together when I was a child, and he would always let me win, so that's nice. But yeah, I don't think my dad really instilled any values in me because just how much less I interact with him.
Those values that your mom taught you, would you instill those onto your future children, or do you still believe in them today?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that if I ever have children, they should be able to do whatever they feel like. I'm not going to force them like, oh, you have to be a doctor by 18 or something like that. But I know a lot of Asian parents are like that, and it's kind of sad. But yeah, definitely that, and but also I want to make sure they never forget their cultural roots of being Taiwanese.
Oh yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
Were you religious growing up?
I didn't actually become religious until way after I moved here, and it's still fairly recent. But religion isn't really a big aspect of life in Taiwan. I know my mom will always go to Buddhist sermons in like a local temple I sometimes go with her, and like she'll teach me certain some mantras and Buddhist core beliefs, like how to meditate. She actually does practice forms of alternative Buddhist medicine, which I think is interesting. Yeah, so I sometimes go to the temple with her and have fun with the other kids there. I don't know. She brings me an iPad so I don't get bored, and I play with the other kids. I don't really pay attention to the actual sermon, so
yeah, pretty sure a lot of kids in religions do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you Buddhist now, today?
I mean, I still believe in a lot of things about Buddhism, but I am actually mostly Christian.
Okay.
But the thing about Buddhism is that Buddhists don't actually see themselves like as a religion. They see themselves as like a way of life or a belief. So like, if you're Buddhist, you can still be another religion technically.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, I'm mostly Christian now. After my mom started taking me to church when we moved here, so that's that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And you said you'd go to the temple. Was that what you would usually do on the weekends?
Well, I had a lot more free time on the weekends, so besides going to the temple on certain nights, whenever my grandparents aren't available to babysit me, sometimes I go to a friend's house, a family friend. Like my mom would arrange play dates for me, so that was nice. She would also take me out to do errands with her, either shopping or go to museums. I've always been a big museum person. I've always liked museums, and we visited a lot of museums. There's this. The main museum in Taiwan is the National Taiwan Museum at the February 28th Memorial Park. It's a history museum about pretty much everything Taiwanese, and like they also have special exhibits on other subjects. There's also a lot of other. There's the National Postal Museum where you learn about how the postal system worked. I guess I don't remember much of it. And there was also the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, which also has its own exhibits, but the main thing is, of course, a monument of General Chiang Kai-shek, the first president of the Republic of China. And in the same complex, there's also the National Theater and the National Music Center. And sometimes we'll go to concerts there. My mom will take me to watch ballets such as Nutcracker and other things like that. But those are on the good days. Usually I stay in, and I don't know, she takes me out to do something. I don't know, to a bookstore, to eat outside.
Really
things
nice.
like that. There isn't, yeah. And it's also a time for me to catch up on my homework because I had so many.
Yeah, that's a lot. That you had those experiences. Would you say that like visiting the museums was like your favorite place to visit back in Taiwan?
No, I'll actually say it's the bookstores. I like the bookstores more than the museums because I like reading a lot.
Oh, really? What would you usually read?
Yeah. What did I usually read? It's probably like almanacs or other kinds of things like that. I remember. I'm not really into fiction books, so like I'll always read like things about transportation. They had a big chain of bookstores there. It's called Esquire. I think that's the name. Is that the name in English? I don't know, but it's Chengping Shudian in Chinese. But yeah, they had really books there. Just also just subjects, almanacs. Yeah, I actually usually read almanacs. Like, yeah.
Would your mom take you there, or would you just?
Yeah,
go there by yourself?
my mom usually takes me there because she was not comfortable in me, 8-9-year-old walking around in a big city.
Yeah, I can picture that.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you spend a lot of time with your grandparents? Were you close with any of your other extended family members?
That's about it. It's just my mom, my grandparents. Sometimes I talk to I like their family friends a lot when they come over, which is quite frequently. They'll bring us food and generally sorts of other stuff. During holidays, they'll bring us mooncakes for the Lunar Festival. I only like one specific kind, but that was still nice. But like, yeah, I haven't really talked with my extended family that much though, because all I've heard about them recently is whenever my mom's like, "Oh, remember him or her? Remember my grandfather's cousin or like brother. Oh yeah, he died recently." I'm like, "Oh, that's unfortunate," and like that's about it. Move on with their day. Like, I don't remember much about my extended family besides that. But yeah, talk to my grandparents a lot, and they will tell me stories about when they grew up back in China and like their experiences back there.
That's really nice. They told you those stories and stuff. Do you usually ask them often what it was like?
Well, they usually start initially the conversation because once again they're keen on passing down family traditions and family history. So like, of course, I'll ask them more about things, and like they'll tell me about the childhoods, how they often take a freight train to get to school. You know, grandparents and their crazy ways how I get to school. Yeah, I think they even said once that our school's on the other side of the bay, so they had to take not hijack. What was the word I'm looking for? They had to hitchhike on a cargo ship just to get to school. I'm just like, whoa.
Oh my god, yeah, that sounds intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can picture that. My grandparents would always tell me things similar to like how intense it would be to go to school.
Yeah, and more stories too, because they grew up in 30s and 40s China, which, if you know your history, that was during World War II. And it's interesting because grandma always said that the Japanese people are really kind, and she had a lot of Japanese friends growing up in China, and it was interesting seeing that view. My grandpa has a whole other story. He's from Nanking, and you probably know a really unfortunate event that happened in 1937 Nanking. So he is low-key kind of racist towards Japanese people, but like once you understand what happened, like you can't really blame him for it. It's
like past trauma and experience.
Yeah, kind of, and family. Yeah, I mean he didn't really experience much of it because he was only like 1 or 2 years old, but like his family told him a lot of stories, I believe, and like he still has these beliefs now.
Well, what kind of, like, would you celebrate holidays with your family? Like, what would you celebrate with them?
One thing I'm always bummed about Taiwan is that because religion is a thing, our school does not get Christmas off.
Oh, what?
Which, we don't get Christmas off, so we actually have to go to school on Christmas, which sucked.
Wow.
But we do get weeks off for Lunar New Year. God, that's a tongue twister. Lunar New Year. And the Lantern Festival as well. I've always liked the Lantern Festival because they always have a giant. They'll erect up like a giant lantern on the Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall, which is another huge monument we have towards another one of our founding fathers. It depends. It differs each year on what the lantern is. I don't exactly know what year the Chinese zodiac it is, but when I was the most memorable one, I think I sent you a picture of that. It was a tiger. It was the year of the tiger, and at night they'll always light up, and like there's a whole bunch of decorations like around the streets. Like they have light shows, and they'll hang out lanterns everywhere. It's really big happening there, you know. And they also have the Dragon Boat Festival, where we'll go to the river and see people race dragon boats. So that's also very nice.
Wow. Yeah.
And don't forget about Lunar.
Yeah, it sounds really beautiful and pretty and festive. That's really cool. What was your favorite one out of those holidays?
It has to be the Lantern Festival.
The Lantern? Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, because it was, there's so many pretty lights just to look at. And I think I forgot to mention just regular New Year, because they will always have a fireworks show at the tallest building in Taiwan, which is Taipei 101. It's pretty good fireworks, if I do say so myself. But and because of the season, the wind was always blowing towards us, so we always have a cloud of smoke covering the view. So like the best view to get is on the mountains on the opposite side of the city. So that's that.
That's nice. Well,
yeah, very pretty.
When you were growing up, what was your dream job?
Oh, interesting. When I was a child, I wanted to become a fireman.
Oh.
Nothing unusual. Like if you ask many little boys my age, they will probably say something like, "Oh, astronaut, policeman, fireman," or something like that. So, ordinary. But I've actually wanted to become a garbage man for a while. It was weird. I don't know if it was because of the music and all that, from what I said earlier, but like, I just like the way garbage trucks moved. I don't know. I like the mechanical stuff of it. Yeah.
Oh, like how they picked up the trash and like put it in.
Yeah. Well,
and smashed it.
You basically in Taiwan, it's a bit less exciting. You basically just store it in the back and like they'll grab on. But like, because I spent my summers in America, like because we have family here too. Because remember, my mom moved to the States when she was young. Her brother actually decided to stay in the States, so we'll visit. So we visit them every summer. So like, the garbage trucks here in California are way more interesting because they have like those mechanical arms and stuff. And I was really interested in those.
Yeah, that's really
as
cool.
a child growing up.
Would it like the music too play a big part in that job choice too?
I feel like it get really boring after a while because you hear it 24/7.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear it when it's like by your house or neighborhood.
Yeah, it's nice to hear when it comes by every once in a while, not when it's constantly blaring in your ear. Like I'm pretty sure most garbage men in Taiwan are very tired of hearing that music. Like whenever it comes up in like a radio or the concert, it's like, oh, not the garbage truck music again.
Yeah, every day. It's probably like when they're sleeping too, they probably think of that sound.
Yeah, you can hear it in your sleep too. Like that's the most tranquil part of it.
Yeah.
Like you just be sleeping to sleep, and then you get to serenaded by garbage trucks. That is not a sentence I thought I would say, but here we are.
Yeah. What about like an ideal house or family you had in mind growing up?
I never really thought about that. Like I was really comfortable with where we already lived because like I didn't really think about moving to the States or what it was like to live here until when we almost actually made the decision to move. But we lived in a high-rise apartment, as most people do in a metropolis, and like we had a pretty good view of the surrounding area. We actually lived in the biggest roundabout in the entire nation, I believe.
Oh, wow. It
was 2-layered, so two traffic circles. It was designed as a compass. It's a really good feat of urban planning. I'm sure if you search up Taipei City traffic circle, you'll get an image of it. If you look at a map of Taipei City, it's impossible to miss because it's literally dead center in the city. You just see this giant circle. Like, yeah, it was. I believe, in my opinion, that it was the best place to live anywhere. Like, too bad our unit was pretty small because, again, working class Taiwanese family, you can't really afford anything too big. But yeah, it was a modest little house. 1 office, 1 bedroom, 2 bathrooms, 1 living room, 1 kitchen, the usual. Yeah, it was very nice. You get a very good view of the traffic downstairs.
Yeah, it's really nice. And you said you really like the traffic too and stuff.
Sometimes.
So it's nice to get a view of that too.
Yeah, like my grandma will always like get up because I always sit by the window and look down. And my grandma will like come over like, oh, what you looking at? Count how many taxis there are. Little games like that. Yeah, I actually, as a child, I actually liked the States way better than living in Taiwan back, because back then I thought it was more peaceful here, and like a lot later on, like I learned about because I made friends here as well during the summers, and I learned about how much better the education was here overall. When I came to understand that stuff, so like I came to resent Taiwan like by my last years there, because elementary school became more important in my life, so I was dedicating more time to it, and I was having less time for like fun, and but after moving here a while, you kind of start missing the place, you know, like it's a good place to live, just not a good place to be educated in.
Yeah, I understand that. It's kind of also like you were there and you kind of missed, or you idealized the United States, and then when you're here, it's like now in Taiwan,
it's kind of like
miss it. I get what you're saying here.
Got a lot better schooling experience here, though. That's one thing I gotta admit.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you found better schooling here too.
Yeah.
What kinds of feelings and words come to mind when you remember your childhood in Taiwan?
Well, as you get older, you tend to forget all the bad stuff. So I would say it was good. I mostly liked my time there, save for maybe the last few years, but I enjoyed the place a lot. And very nice place to grow up in. Lots of good food, lots of good memories, lots of good sounds, very good public transportation.
Yeah.
Good books to read.
Sounds like you had a good childhood too.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the schooling.
Yeah, schooling. That's really rough.
Yeah.
But overall, it's good. We all have like some challenges. It's nice. And lastly, if you could tell your 9-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Oh boy.
Kind of dropped a bomb on you there. Sorry.
Damn. That's a very tough question. I don't know, because what did my 9-year-old self think back then? Like, I don't know. Probably just to like, I probably have some more profound answer if I thought about it more. But just for now, have fun while you're at Taiwan, because you're gonna start missing that place when you move here. Because by 9 years old, it was apparent that we're gonna move to the States. So like, you'll enjoy your time at the States, but like, don't forget your time at Taiwan, and don't forget that you're Taiwanese. Because I still do kind of struggle with that, because like I'm like, am I Taiwanese or American? And I lost my citizenship a few years back, actually.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of sucks. But I can't really get it back unless I do mandatory conscription, which I am totally not going to. Yeah. But yeah, I can still go back, but just not as a citizen anymore. And it's kind of limited right now because they still have pretty strict COVID restrictions. So I have to quarantine like 2 weeks in my house if I ever wanted to go back. Now, if I was a citizen, it wouldn't be a problem, but I'm not. So
yeah, that has to be tough. The transition. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your honesty and participation. You did so well, and it was really nice to learn about your childhood and everything you said. It was really cool.
It's nice telling people about it too, because like I usually don't talk to people about how I grew up and all that. Yeah.
It's nice to remember too and reflect on too, and like, oh yeah, I was from there.
Yeah.
Or I am from there and I grew up there and stuff. It's so nice to talk about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That was really great.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
See ya.